goal for the project was to rebuild the interchange at Coleraine Avenue. As part of that, we built a flyover bridge 2,000 feet long.
It went over 3 active rail lines managed by CSX and Norfolk Southern and 2 future rail lines. Also went over an Army Corps channel, several local streets, and an interstate. There was also a 3rd lane widening component on 74 westbound that it tied into, and multiple bridge rehabs along the way.
The majority of it was to add capacity to westbound 74 and then build a new connection for the ramp from southbound 75 to westbound 74.
The original pre-bid alignment had a single flyover bridge that widened into 2 exits on the bridge. That one exited to Beekman, the other one exited to 74 westbound. Our ATC turned it into a single flyover bridge that moved the merge point further down, closer to the Beekman roadway.
So obviously that significantly reduced cost of the department, both in the upfront construction costs and then later with maintenance costs down the road by only having one structure.
It eliminated a lot of MSC walls, it eliminated utility conflicts, and it also eliminated a lot of design and construction coordination with the 2 different railroad entities.
So one of the biggest challenges up front that we knew that was going to be a hurdle to get over was dealing with the rail lines. So there's 3 active rail lines, 2 for CSX, 1 of Norfolk Southern. They are just north of one of the largest hump yards in the Midwest, about 100 trains per day.
We really built the relationship early on. We were awarded the contract in August of 21, and we were meeting with the railroads probably in August of 21 and working through the design, working through what we thought the construction sequence was going to be.
Matt Wagner was the superintendent for a variety of bridges on the project, and he put together a detailed schedule that we provided to the railroads. We used that to bring the FCIs and the flaggers onto the project. It went very smoothly.
So all that upfront coordination and planning with Great Lakes did with the railroads led to success on the job. We didn't have one railroad caused issue, whether it was design or whether it was construction to the job. And that's a pretty, in my opinion, a pretty significant achievement just based on the capacity that railroad has, its relation to the job, and especially the issues we had on previous jobs with the same railroad.
Coordination of the utilities initially was extremely important. I believe we had around 30 different utilities that we were working with there. Not only were there utilities on some of the side road work that affected the initial phase of the project, there was a lot of utilities underground and overhead for the big flyover structure.
Right off the rip, we had to not only get the utilities relocated, but we didn't know exactly which ones needed to be relocated or where to relocate them to because we hadn't designed the project yet. So very early on, we engaged all 12 utility owners and gave concept plans and worked through them. There were half a dozen utilities that we were able to avoid that the state didn't have to pay for just by design optimization. It really was a success for the project because there were 0 utility delays on the project and all the utility work was on the critical path.
November 1st, unfortunately, main bridge 471, which is one of the main arteries from northern Kentucky into downtown Cincinnati, caught on fire.
ODOT had tapped E.L. Robinson in order to start, looking at it and help come up with solutions. At the time, nobody had any solutions for how to fix the bridge because nobody knew what the problem was. It was on fire, and then it wasn't on fire, and then it was damaged and closed.
The expectation from the traveling public was to get this thing open as soon as possible. We were being kind of held standard to the Brent Spence Bridge fire, which was, opened in a little over 40 days. Great Lakes mobilized to the site. They started working without a signed contract. They started getting a hold of fabricators and suppliers and locking down materials for the shore towers without a signed contract in place, knowing that there's that established trust that we're going to come through and follow up on what we're saying verbally.
It was essentially an extension of the 5B project where, we didn't have to establish a partnering meeting or establish goals for the project or get to know each other. We knew what everybody was good at already. We knew where we could utilize everybody and their strengths and their weaknesses, and we paired everybody up and we attacked the problem. 100 days wasn't originally the goal. The original goal was get it open as fast as possible. we didn't know what the extent of the work was. Are we taking down an entire bridge? Do we have to knock down piers? Do we have to rebuild piers? We had no idea. How many spans is it? Is it 1 span, 2 spans, 3 spans? Is it the full width? Nobody had any idea the extent of the work that was needed. We built our roadmap to get there. As we learned more with testing the steel and inspecting the concrete, we were able to shrink the parameters of the work that needed to be performed. Everybody that was involved in the project, they really, they just dedicated all their resources to the project. At the end of January is when we figured out we might be able to hit 100 days. And everybody kind of thought we were a little crazy at first. And then I think the more, they let it bake, everyone got excited about it. And then everybody, from the state level, at central office, to the local level, to us, to the concrete vendors, everybody really wanted to hit the 100-day goal, and we did. The 471 project was probably the most collaborative project I've ever been a part of. I don't know if I'll ever have another project like that. Matt Bruning, ODOT press secretary, informed me. He did it in a very Matt Bruning way, where he kind of teased a little something and said, hey, just don't make any plans for this day. And I said, okay, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Towards the end of the job, Matt knew it was a stressful project. The guys worked a lot of long, hard, exhausting hours, and he was able to contact the Cincinnati Reds and work out, honoring not only the project, but getting Tom, Ryan, and myself out on the field to throw out the first pitch. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. My kids were able to be on the field with me, same with Ryan and Tom's kid. So it's something that they were very excited about. It was a great experience. The only downside to the whole event was Tom couldn't get the ball to the plate. So unfortunately, Tom kind of short-hopped it and embarrassed the project, but I guess it's just something we'll live with. In my opinion, one of the biggest reasons not only was 5B successful, but the 471 project was successful, was based on the quality of people that we had on the job.
The relationship between E.L. Robinson, Great Lakes, and ODOT District 8 was phenomenal. We all kind of worked together to work through the design challenges. There was a lot of open dialogue on the issues we were facing as part of the design, and it just made the process a lot smoother and made us help keep the project on schedule.
The last 4 or 5 years down here, the last 4 years, the relationships I built with ODOT and the subcontractors, we were all transparent. We put our agendas aside and we worked together to get the job done on time. Actually, wouldn't mind coming back down.
I don't think we could have asked for a better project management team from ELR, Great Lakes, and their subs. We had a great working relationship. We could be transparent, open, honest with one another. That was the true benefit, is having that open line of communication.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want a partner. Who wants to go into work every day and smash their head against the wall? I like going to work with people that I get along with, that I can collaborate with. Even if I disagree with them, you can still reach a resolution, because I think sometimes you have to look in the mirror and recognize that you're not always right too. And, your counterpart might be right sometimes too. And, you have to have a little humility in the process.
Even when we agreed to disagree, there was never any personality conflicts. There was never anything that come over. We always got along. We always were able to joke with each other, even when we agreed to disagree.
So after 4 years of working with Chris Tuminello, we were all awarded these shirts, so we can never forget where we came from.